And he is close, Hodge, to 100 yards today. And if indeed, to the 17-yard line. And the Denver Bronco defense, the stingiest defense in the entire NFL in allowing points, has not allowed a 100. They talked about the terrible towel, and this is the insights. You missed all this when you were coaching with the Steelers. This dates back to their Super Bowl years. This one hasn't been washed since the 1970s. You know how to use these things?
I can tell it hasn't been washed. Yow! You take it.
Well, they gave that to the Steelers as a good luck charm. A fan who's held on to it. Boy, that's a dyed-in-the-wool fan. And Bobby Brister has to call time here. He saw something that didn't work and didn't want to take a chance on 3rd and 6 at the Denver 18-yard line. There's Tom Moore. We talked about in his great admiration for Noel's tremendous teaching. He says he teaches players, he teaches coaches.
Well, they have a plan. If they could get 3 points here, at least 3, they could go in feeling darn proud of themselves.
Yeah, the Rams used the threes, the field goals in the second half to finally tie the Giants today and beat them in overtime. Stay with us at halftime. We'll have the highlights for you of that earlier NFC battle. Stay tuned to NBC tonight as well for a great lineup. Brand new live starring Barbara Eden, followed by the comedies Ann Jillian and Sister Kate. Then at 9 p.m., 8 Central and Mountain, NBC presents a world premiere miniseries based on the true story. Go behind the Noriega headlines to witness the daily battle between the billionaire drug lords and the agents of the DEA. Drug Wars, the Camarena story tonight on NBC. 4 wide receivers in, 3rd down and 6. Brister dumps it off to Hodge, and Hodge has a first down at the 8. Steve Atwater made the tackle. Well-designed play.
Beautifully done. We call that an arrow pattern in which Hodge would start in and then plant and go back out. And that's the kind of, I'll be honest with you, Dick, we just designed that some years ago for San Francisco. You'll see Hodge up, start in, and then pivot and slide back out, and he'll lose his coverage man as he does it. Starts in, thinks there's a cross, outside again. Hodge is tough.
He has 100 yards rushing. He picks up 9 more on that play on the reception. Now it's Worley's turn. He's cut down in the backfield. Knifing through was number 90, Ron Holmes.
Again, they attempted to trap. They pulled Rienstra, they pulled Jackson, but Holmes penetrated, and when you penetrate against a trapping team at the wrong angle, they can't do anything with you.
Clock running, 56, 55 seconds left in the half. Dan Reeves' team outplayed in this opening half by the Steelers, who lead 10-7 and have it 2nd down and goal at the 9.
Steelers taking a lot of time because they're going to have to take some at the line because of the noise factor. Tremendous noise, din of noise.
Brister dumps it off incomplete to Worley. Michael Brooks was right there in front of Worley, and Brister comes over to say something to his halfback. I think he should have run a little different pattern. It was apparent that Brister was not happy with what Worley. In fact, Tim Worley admitted yesterday it's what he doesn't do well yet, run crisp cuts.
You can see there he was very indecisive, and Brooks just nudged him. I think Worley wanted to run that arrow pattern himself, but was just knocked off balance.
Steelers will take a timeout here with 31 seconds left. Though the clock had stopped, Brister on 3rd down and goal wants to make sure of this call with Chuck Noll. Bobby Brister, his mother became nationally known in that Houston game with her rooting of Mother Frances, who drove a black and gold Cadillac, Steeler colors, that Bobby gave her for Christmas from Louisiana over to Houston. She's here. She flew in today, but he told the other side of the story. His father, who was a high school football coach in Monroe, Louisiana for 25 years, is now his roommate. And there he is, Walter Andrew II. Bobby's the 3rd. And Coach Andrew, he's now an all-purpose guy for Bobby. He answers the phone. He's his agent. He works out his deals. He's his counselor. He's his roommate.
It's what a great experience for him, too. Be right with his young guy.
Mama's not worried at all. 3rd and goal at the 9. Into the noise of the closed end for Brister. Touchdown, Deluxe.
That's a Terry Bradshaw throw. They hooked the man between people, and Lips sat in there and just waited for that shot. Beautifully done. Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, has done an excellent job in bringing Brister along and putting this together.
Low man on the quarterback ladder and touchdowns thrown, but a big one here to close this first half as Anderson kicks the extra point and the Steelers lead 17-7.
Lips went in motion on that play and started up the field, and Denver just sort of backed away and gave him room. You'll see him here. You'll see him start up and then set down right inside of this release. So the Denver people were sort of sorting men out, and then there's a hook right between them. Beautifully done. Now Lips is one of the best receivers in the 80s, and now he's got a great young quarterback to drill the ball to him.
And Francis and Walter Brister are happy with Bubby's bomb to Lips, who caught 50 passes, leading the Steelers this year, had 5 touchdowns, and it's 17-7 with 26 seconds left in the half. Well, he's got Mama's energy, no question about that. That's not Daddy's emotions, that's Mom.
Well, you know he hasn't thrown that many touchdown passes. He only threw 9 during the entire year. So here he's drilling that ball in. This team, if it were to lose this game, has made great progress just being in the playoffs and preparing for this kind of a contest.
Wonder what they're thinking in Cleveland right now, much less here in Denver and Pittsburgh. It's Carrington on the low skidding kick, and he's out to the 33-yard line. Now Elway has 20 seconds to try to come up with something big and at least get into field goal range. Flag down against the Steelers, offside. 77-yard drive and a dozen plays well executed.
Kickoff team, penalty refused, first down.
Well, Elway, if anybody can do it, can pick up the 30 or so yards necessary to get a field goal. It'll be interesting to see just what kind of pressure Pittsburgh can put on him in this situation. Oh, wait a minute.
Steelers late getting on the field defensively. They thought that the Broncos would make them kick it over again. Elway throws to this side, complete. Jackson doesn't go out of bounds, and now he's got some blockers. Rod Woodson, he outruns him. One Boilermaker against another, and Jackson goes out of bounds and over the top of the hot seat. 8 seconds left. They're at the 42 of Pittsburgh, a 26-yard play.
Just one more completion, and they can get it done. Excellent decision with just a few seconds left in the half. He's just going to burst down. Jackson's going to stop, and now his movement's going to take him across the field. And he makes a little miss. Now it's a foot race, and Woodson takes a little bit of a gamble trying to go for him.
Time for, well, now Elway will use a timeout before he puts it in play at the 42 of Pittsburgh. Mark Jackson and Rod Woodson were teammates at Purdue, involved in that last chase. So precious seconds left, and to give the Broncos an emotional lift, a field goal is a prime conversation right now.
Well, Elway can take a shot inside. He has timeout with 8 seconds. He can throw the ball to the inside and get a quick timeout and try to get the field goal.
Well, Treadwell's longest of the year is the 46 yards, which means that they need to get the ball down around the 30-yard line, another 12 yards for him to have a good chance. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting our Budweiser Most Valuable Player at the conclusion of today's playoff game.
The problem can come up here. Now, whoever catches this ball inside, if they run with it and take a lot of time running with it, just 4 or 5 seconds, the clock will run out on it. So you almost have to catch it and go down, take a timeout, and kick a field goal.
Steve Sewell is a man to watch in this situation as they go with the 4 wide receivers. Elway down the middle, complete at the 25-yard line to Natil with 2 seconds left, timeout. Boy, there was a rocket from Elway, and that'll give Treadwell a decent chance.
Well, you sort of anticipated it. Pittsburgh got into too much of a safety kind of defense. Everybody backing off and giving too much room, and Elway can get the ball there so quickly. Again, had Natil caught the ball and attempted to run, time would have run out on him. So he was really lucky the ball came low and he was on the ground quickly.
Treadwell will kick from around the 33, a 43-yard attempt. Treadwell, a rookie from Clemson. One of the many emotional moves this year was the argument for contract by Rich Carlos, a very popular citizen of Denver. Contributed so much to charity. They liked him a lot, Carlos, but he held out, didn't sign. Treadwell was in the wings. He not only replaces Carlos, wins the Pro Bowl honors as the place kicker, and this one is for 43 yards to end the first half. It is, hits the upright and goes through. Kick it off to Ken Bell and Darren Carrington for the Broncos. Bit more overcast now in Denver, Colorado, as Anderson hits a sidewinder into the wedge, muffed by a lineman Ruther, then picked up by Bratton, who gets to the 27-yard line, covered there by Tyrone Stowe. A look at the Coors halftime statistics as Elway comes onto the field. First down, Steelers +2. Yards rushing, the big number, with the Steelers led by Merrill Hodge, 139 against a tough rush defense. Yards passing even. Total yards to Pittsburgh, no turnovers. Possession time, Pittsburgh, and they lead 17-10.
Well, that 251 yards, Dick, at half is just about what Pittsburgh's been getting for an entire game throughout the regular season. So they've really moved the ball.
Another important statistic, we'll give that to you after this throw by Elway, deflected and almost intercepted by Little. And that is that the Steelers, despite the fact that they had an up and down and a rough year, when they led at halftime this year, they won the game 9 out of 9 times.
Elway, they had a plan on that last pass that looked pretty good, but they didn't account for a linebacker jumping up and batting it down. But Elway can throw the ball in this game. He's not getting a lot of heat as he drops back, and with that great arm and those receivers, that could sort of handle the game for them.
It was Greg Lloyd, 95, who got a piece of the last pass. Elway throws it too low for Bratton, incomplete. He had Humphrey wide open in the other flat. Keith Willis, 93, applying pressure.
Well, that's 2 misplays coming out at halftime, but they do have the talent. They do have the great passer. But I'll tell you this, Rod Woodson and Dwayne Woodruff are good physical corners. When they hit you, you know it. And their safeties are real active guys. So down the field, Pittsburgh won't be that bad, but it's the pass rush right now that would concern me if I were Chuck Noll.
3rd and 10, Sammy Winder into the backfield now with Elway. 4 wide receivers, Jackson in motion. Elway, a little pressure, steps up. Here he comes, chased from behind, breaks a tackle, and down he goes, fumbles the ball, and it's covered by Denver, but they're going to rule the ball down when Elway landed hard at the 37-yard line, and he's still on his hands and knees.
Aaron Jones has been taking a big, wide pass rush up the field on the top of the screen, and coming up underneath, Elway each time has been able to step right up through that big hole. He's been able to step up there. That's where the big pass early in the first quarter came, and that's where his run has come. So Jones is going to have some help inside, or Elway can move in there the entire game.
And a lot of people say, well, Elway looks like he lumbers on. You think this big guy quarterback Elway isn't fast? The man that was chasing him is Rod Woodson, who finished second to Darrell Green as the NFL's fastest man in 1988, and he couldn't tackle Elway from behind.
Yeah, Elway has good speed for a big man, and he's not a young guy anymore, but he's got good activity. Early in his career, it was like Terry Bradshaw. They were so quick and active, they could run the ball every time they dropped back.
It's 4th down and a yard. Horan, and now here's a trick play. Horan comes up, and Kubiak, the backup quarterback, moves up under center. Boy, this is a gamble timeout being called by Pittsburgh. They took too much time, and so the Steelers wisely spend a timeout. But what a gamble from your own 37-yard line.
Who knows really what they'd have finally done. They might have just taken too much time or something of that nature, but it didn't seem normal. But fortunately, people were sharp enough to get a timeout.
And now in punt formation, so the trick play did not work. Horan hits a high fair catch punt that Woodson takes at the 18-yard line. Boy, when you think back, well, let's first of all look at Elway when he was dumped on his head, and it appeared that he may have injured his left hand. They were looking at the left hand. That was a scary tackle on Elway, and for him to even get up and be in one piece.
Well, he took a shot at getting that first down, so he tried to go up over the top to get that extra foot or two right over on his head. This is a very difficult thing. You see the left hand is caught under the helmet as he lands. But he just took a snap from center. He'll be okay.
Now leading 17-10. Boy, Rhea is really pulling out the stops to try that play at his own 37 early in the second half. And now Bubby Brister goes to work, and he's going to pass on first down. Has a man open. It's Weegee Thompson, and a first down at the 41-yard line.
Well, that was that so-called trap pass, as they call it. They fake that trap play. Then they send right down the field. They send it Worley, but now Weegee's going to go up and hook. He's not their primary receiver. He's going to pull up, but Worley was covered inside by the weak safety, and so the ball came out to him. Excellent job, excellent execution. And talking to Mecklenburg before the game, he said that trap pass worries us more than anything else they do. So it worked there.
Willis Weegee Thompson only caught 4 passes all year, really delivering for Pittsburgh today. Not only receiving, but his fine blocking. Here comes Tim Worley behind some good blocks, but good pursuit and a fumble. And who's got it? Tyrone Braxton of Denver. The game's first turnover.
Well, Worley's had a little history of fumbling, and he's carrying that ball very loosely. The ball's hanging out there and was just knocked loose. Dennis Smith, talking before the game, said, we can get that ball jarred out of there. And it happened. Now, this could be the big break of the game. Worley just didn't run in there for that ball.
Drake Cragen was in the thick of the tackle, and Tyrone Braxton, who led Denver with 6 interceptions, picks up the ball. There's Cragen's tackle. Mecklenburg in there as well. Now maybe the instant replay folks will take a second look as to whether or not Worley was down. He was hit hard, leaves the field under his own power. So far, no indication that they're reviewing the play.
That was really a rookie play on Worley's part. Carrying the ball that loosely and sort of trotting into the line of scrimmage, looking for a place to run. Meanwhile, you've got people with that intensity after you, the ball's going to be knocked out of there.
So from the 38, Elway drops back. He wants to go long. He does. Johnson, touchdown.
Confusion in that secondary that time. A post pattern right down the middle, and no safety there to take care of it. Both safeties open to their outside. When the play was over, they're both looking at each other with their hands up. There was a mistake.
Treadwell kicks this one high and cleanly after just barely getting one through on the first Denver touchdown and hitting the upright on a field goal.
Vance Johnson straight up the field, just bending into the post. No one there.
Field judge had the best coverage on Johnson. One play after the fumble, Elway to Vance Johnson, a 37-yard strike. It's a new game with 13 minutes left in the third. And the Bronco fans are loud now at 17-all. There was a unsportsmanlike penalty against the Steelers on the extra point. So David Treadwell, after 15 yards, will kick off from the 50-yard line. And one must always be alert to an onside kick in this situation.
Well, Pittsburgh's going to have to get it back together quickly. They had that very sloppy fumble. And now the big play where they blew a coverage.
He does an onside. It sends a high bounder to Woodson. And Rod Woodson trying to use his speed. Now he reverses his field. Gets a couple of blocks and another, and finally out of bounds at the 20. He ran 60, but finally got it back to the 20. And it was mindful of Bill Walsh, that touchdown. Send a receiver deep, clear out for another deep receiver.
Thomas Everett, the weak safety, makes a critical error by favoring Kay down the field. Meanwhile, the post pattern hits right in behind him. Now, there's a play fake, but it really doesn't make any difference. A critical error there by Thomas Everett, reacting to the tight end when you've got Vance Johnson breaking to the middle. You see Everett's back turned to the play. Johnson's got all day just to wait for the ball.
12:47 left in the third quarter. Vance Johnson had a great season, 76 catches, didn't make the Pro Bowl. Brister under pressure, gets out of the grass, throws to Hodge. What a play! And Hodge gains 18 yards to the 38-yard line.
That was so close to a sack. Brister, it looked as though they had grasp and control. But Brister just for an instant broke clear. But he does have all these things that Tom Moore, no, that looks close. But Tom Moore, offensive coordinator, said this will be the best quarterback in the NFL in 1992. Well, pretty strong comment, but Brister does have those innate qualities that could take him to that lofty spot.
Boy, that was a gutsy 19, they say now, at the 39. Now it's Hodge. Breaking tackles again out to the 45-yard line. No runner has enjoyed any sincere success against the Broncos this year, but Merrill Hodge certainly is a career high that follows a 100-yard rushing day at Houston last weekend.
Well, Hodge is so strong physically, but up front, excellent blocking by the tight end, by the right tackle, and Hodge had a chance to get to the line of scrimmage with some momentum. Nobody there to meet him initially.
Mike Malarkey has not returned to tight end. Terry O'Shea is the man in motion. Worley, after his fumble, running hard to the 50-yard line, appears to have a first down, and he took another pop. And that's one of the hazards of getting a reputation of being a fumbler. It makes those defensive players hit you all the harder.
Well, they thought that would be the difference, and I suppose it could be for this game. Worley's going to have to really get it together. That time, he ran with some real determination, like it really meant something. Mecklenburg talking to us before the game. What a different experience for a rookie. The intensity of this game, the crowd, everyone totally hyped up. He made one fatal error. Let's see if he can recover.
It was a first down at midfield. 17 all the score. Brister going long and has an open man, Lips, and he misses. Lewis Lips was open, and so was Ouija Thompson. They had two men deep against one defender, Dennis Smith.
Everybody seemed to relax on the Denver side, working straight up the field. Everybody just sort of slows down and look to the outside. What a play. Braxton saw Turner inside, and there's a big hole outside.
So Brister had a chance there, but overshot the mark, and he said he felt badly about that last week in Houston. Sometimes they get too excited, said Bubby. But he's showing the arm, and there's his offensive coordinator. Quite a prediction. He'll be the premier quarterback in 92, says this man. Hodge, trapped in the backfield, just does get back to the line of scrimmage. Holmes and Mecklenburg collaborated on the stop. It was Holmes who made the big play.
Hodge that time ran the same play. He got that 50-yard runoff against Houston, but that time there's just too much penetration up the field.
Well, this is the fifth Pittsburgh Steeler to go down today. Three of them have returned. Malarkey has not, and now tackle John Jackson receives some attention. 10:20 remaining in the third period. John Jackson just guilty of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and will get pinned from behind as the tackle is made, and it's his right knee that takes the blow, and he's attended to on the sidelines.
The exact injury Bubba Paris had as a rookie. He had major knee surgery because of it. Touching the back of the legs.
It looks as if Jackson's is not that serious. Wolfley replaces him. Brister, 3rd and 10 down the middle, complete. Mark Stock, who had only 4 receptions all season, a rookie from VMI, and another line drive throw by Bubby Brister.
That was a beautiful shot, Dick. And the catches these guys are making, they're really into the game because they know there's going to be contact on these guys as they catch the ball. Good pass protection. That's what he's been getting all day. He drills that ball, but look at the concentration on the catch. Because so often you're sitting back there with Atwater and Smith to make the big hit on you when you make contact with the ball. Not so for Pittsburgh. These guys are really concentrating.
After giving up the cheap touchdown, a quick touchdown after a fumble in one play, Brister trying to drive the Steelers back into the lead. Flag is down, and apparently the dead ball foul as they've whistled it dead.
False start, 62 offense before the snap. The 5-yard penalty is still first down.
Chilkin, a Pro Bowler for the second time at 6'3" and 255, Indiana State.
He is really active. Really active athlete. This looked like it was going to develop into a pretty good call. But just a little bit of movement prior to the snap. It's vital here that Pittsburgh gets away with at least 3 points. They can't afford not to make points right now. Denver got that momentum going. If Pittsburgh can just stall it off with a field goal, they'll be better.
Thompson left, Lips right. The young tandem of Hodge and Worley behind Brister. It's a draw or a trap, another one of those traps, and it's Hodge again. Holmes made the tackle. They got the 5 back. They lost on the first down penalty.
Hodge has a sort of a sixth sense about finding his way between people. An excellent inside runner. He reminds me a lot of Roger Craig instinct-wise. He's got that power. So he's really a guy that's going to be there for a long time.
They've been watering the field all week long, and as we saw Elway slip earlier, at both ends, the middle of the field seems to be dry and fast, but when you get to the 20 on either end, sod is being torn up, and it seems inordinately slippery. So only 6 seconds on the 45-second clock. 3. Brister gets it off. Guns incomplete to Lips, who was drilled at the 10-yard line by Tyrone Braxton.
Brister was a count late with the throw. Still could have been a completion, but that count late really made a difference because the defenders were right with him all over. Now the ball should be getting there now. Still not there. Now by the time it gets there, there are the defenders. That's the difference. Just maybe 0.2 of a second, and that's what will be a difference, I think, for Brister further into his career. Just a little more anticipation.
John Jackson, the left tackle, has returned to the lineup for the Steelers. Third down, a long 10.
They can't afford a sack.
Stone breaks a tackle. It's knocked out of bounds after a gain of 2. Randy Robbins, an extra defensive back, number 48.
Brister was really tagged on that. A screen pass, which isn't necessarily a great call in that situation, because if you take a loss, it just takes you further from the field goal. Now we'll take a look at him. He was holding the ball. There's the shot. Knocked him down. Just sort of an average hit for Mecklenburg. He probably doesn't even know he did it.
All right, here's Gary Anderson trying one from 36 yards. Actually 35 officially. And Anderson is 6'4", 35 yards for Gary Anderson, who is kicking for his father, his coach, who watches in San Diego. The Steelers are in front again. Fans have been entertained with some mile-high drama, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, heavy underdogs, have the lead again 2017. Gary Anderson's kick.